Hey guys, today I'm working on these window well covers here. They're for a large egress window and they're made out of 1¼ inch angle iron and then 9-gauge 3/4 expanded steel. This angle iron is 3/16 of an inch thick. Let me show you guys a couple of other frames for this just to give you an idea of how we constructed them. Backyard's kind of dirty. So what we did was we took these pieces of angle iron, which were 10 feet long, and we made little cuts every maybe 3/4 of an inch. Then what we did was we laid it on the outside of the egress window and we tack welded each one of the cuts to make sure it stays in place. Then we took a piece of angle iron across the back and we measured it out. We gave it a little bit of weld there, a little bit of weld there, just to get it to hold. And then we could lay it over our piece of expanded steel and we could cut that expanded steel after we mark it. So that gave us a pretty easy template. We didn't measure anything. We only measured basically the perimeter of those egress windows so that we could order the steel. So now all we got to do for this one is firstly we got to get a few welds made on the top. We have to weld those cuts up and then we'll flip it over and I'll make sure that I weld this expanded steel really well to the back. I did test this out. I put it over the egress window. It's not being built for this house, so I can't actually lay it in place and show you tonight, but I put it over the window well. I stepped on it, gave it a couple good bounces. It's really only tacked in place right now, but it held me up, which was good. You know, I'm like 220 pounds, so it ain't nothing to really shrug at, but it's good. It's a solid piece of steel. Equipment wise, I guess we're just using this Miller respirator. We're using a respirator because we're welding with flux core, which is a very smoky, dirty welding process. We have the cheap Chinese welder, the Yes Welder Flux 135 Pro. Yes Welder is not a sponsor. If they want to sponsor me, or if Modelo wants to sponsor me, they should email me. This welding machine's actually been pretty good. I have a Harbor Freight Chicago electric one. This one's a lot more consistent. It's got a lot better controls on it. So this has been, it was like $6 more than the other one. So it's a pretty easy upgrade if you're looking at an entry-level flux core. We like flux core because it's cheap. We can weld outside without gas. We don't have to worry about the wind. We don't have to really worry about much, honestly. Cleaning the metal, not necessary. We have the Forney Easy Weld hood. I don't know, 20 bucks. And some gloves. They're okay. So let's get to it. We're gonna do a couple of welds. It'll be a shorter video. I'm gonna grab a brush real fast. Be right back. All right, let's take a look. So it's not a perfect weld. It does do the job though. One important thing to know when you're welding is where you should stop. So if you know this is just a straight line, it's like 1.5 inches long or 1.25 inches long. It's kind of hard to mess that up. But if you were welding 2 plates in a lap joint where one is overlapping the other, you would want to know where to start and stop. So you would kind of start up here and then you would come around the corner of that joint and you would stop there. That's something that you should know before you even start pulling the trigger on the gun. Just things to be aware of. Don't get into bad habits. So as we're moving along, I'm just going back and I'm checking the welds. One thing I do want to do is flip this thing over and check the bottom. I'm not necessarily looking for full penetration onto the underside of this angle iron. Most of the structure, the strength comes from this vertical part of the angle iron, not this horizontal part that's going to be perpendicular with the ground or parallel with the ground. My bad. It'll be this part right here. So the front, basically, the edge of this rim, not the top. So we don't need full penetration all the way underneath this, which we wouldn't get it out of this welder anyway. It's really not made for that, especially just running the MIG gun. You potentially could, maybe if you used stick and you set your welder up perfectly dialed in, and you see these cuts, they're not grooved out or anything like that. They're just cut into the top of the steel, so there's not really anywhere for a root per se to go in there. Let's examine our tool here. So this is our gun. Not really coming into focus very well. Hold on. Sorry, team. Let's see if we can take a look at this. Okay, so our gun is good and fucked up now. I have grounded it out one too many times, so it's got this tip right here. It's supposed to unscrew. You can see where our threads are knackered up pretty well from grounding it out. So it arced on the piece a couple of times. So now I have to figure out how to get this disposable tip off here and replace it, because we can't feed wire out of it. We'll figure that out. I'll be right back. Should be able to repair this without working too hard. I'm not even going to replace this. I'm just going to see if I can maybe get it to feed the wire out. Pretty bound up. All right, so we got that fixed. It's working okay now. So we'll just try to never do that ever again. I think this tip is probably 1 or 2 arcs away from just taking a shit right here on this workbench. So we'll see. Okay, so the last thing I'll do for tonight is I'll go grab the angle grinder, I'll brush this stuff off, and we'll take a look at the raw welds. Okay, let's check it out. All right, so we can see they're not the worst. I mean, they don't look like super clean. Flux core is just a dirty process overall. You can see where, like, I think this one, in my opinion, just looks cold. Like a couple of these look cold. So maybe what I'd do is probably turn that wire speed maybe down. And then like this one right here, I was just trying to see if weaving it would do any better than it already was. I don't know. Like this one, I know that the wire speed was up to like 272. Did a couple of them, turned it back down, weaved a little bit, just tried to see what was going on with a couple different ways of setting up the machine and running the weld, and they're okay. I'll flip the thing over and we'll take a look from the back side. So really it's not the most incredible, but you can see some heat getting in there. And I mean, these pieces are definitely bonded together. That's not really what I'm worried about. You know, I just want to make sure that there's not, like, it'll shed water obviously inside. I just don't want water to really get into these cracks and rusts through this piece of angle iron, which I don't think it's gonna do. I think it'll be okay, especially once it's painted and everything. You can see I have some pretty crappy looking tacks around this place, you know, around the perimeter where this expanded steel is. That one's okay. So not a professional welder, not a handyman, nothing like that. I work on the computer, if you can't tell just by looking at me. Here's that shed that I did in a previous series. It's all painted now. It needs a door. Just didn't really feel like building anything right now, so I did the roof of the shed, which is okay. So we got some drip edge in here. We got everything flashed, the siding, all that stuff's good. We put the roof on, put the vent up there. If I go in here, you can see that we vented the ridge, and so it looks pretty good. And it's rained and snowed a few times since we put this on, and it looks pretty good. It matches the roof of the house too. We just had some materials left over from when we had our roof replaced from a storm, so I just kept those materials and we used them to do this. So it's a good little project. This shed didn't really have much to begin with. Like, basically the siding was the sheathing, so structurally it wasn't the strongest building. There wasn't any flashing on it, so it would just get water everywhere. And also the roof didn't have a membrane underneath, so that let moisture into the building and just rotted it from the inside out, basically. But I think it's good. It's got like an 8-inch thick concrete foundation now. The floor all the way through is 8 inches thick, so that should do it. And then I'd like to finish these up, these window well covers here. I might record a little bit more on those. I have a couple more to do yet, so I have to finish this other side of this one, get the underside fully welded, and then I can grind it down, and then we'll do the other two. I actually need to weld a label onto this because these are built on site for every window specifically. So like this is window number 1, so I'll just put a number 1 on here. I'll do that later. That's all for now.